Hey, what's going on, guys? So today we're doing mid to low fade. Um, as always, I'm starting my guideline, and I'm taking my guideline about just a little bit above the ear, and we're going all the way around the head with it. So I got my number two all the way closed, and I'm taking that pretty high up, almost past the parietal ridge there. And this is setting the foundation of my haircut and kind of the base for my fade here. I got my number one all the way open, and I'm going up almost to the top, almost to the number two line, but not quite. I'm saving that space to blend out with the 1.5. I got my one closed. I'm going all the way to the line that I made with my one open. Now I got my clipper open, and I'm making another guideline about an inch up. I'm going to close it halfway, and I'm going to go up to the line that I made with the clipper open. Closing it down another quarter of the way, and going up to the line that I made with my clipper closed halfway. Now we're all the way closed, and we're just going to blend that bottom line out. Now I got my 1/16 guard, my half guard, and it's halfway open. I'm going all the way up to the line that I made with my one closed. So you can't really tell, but there was a faint line that I noticed. So I've got my clipper clipper open all the way, and I'm just kind of hitting it with the corners, blending out that little shadow. Now I got my 1.5. It's halfway open, and I'm going all the way to the line that I made with my number two closed. So that didn't quite blend it all out, so I'm going back to my number one all the way open, and I'm just making another pass at that line, trying to blend it all out. I shouldn't say line, shadow rather. Now I'm just going to repeat the same process on the rest of the head. So this guy's a really good friend of mine. I've been cutting his hair for a while now, and he has probably one of the hardest hair textures I've ever had, or I've ever cut, I should say. It's, thinning on the sides a little bit. It's a thinning on the top a little bit. The texture is super fine. He's got a pretty white scalp, and he's got darker hair. So some days I hit it out of the park, man. One go, I get it blended down perfectly, and some days it takes me a little bit, and I gotta bust out all the tricks. This time I had a pretty decent go at it. It didn't take too much finesse to do what I want, but so I'm bringing his hair up at a 90-degree angle, and I'm going to be taking about 1.5 inches off. I'm taking pretty thin sections, maybe about a 1/4 inch or so. Just enough so I can still see through my section, see the hair that I cut previously, and use that as my guide. I'm using a traveling guide, so I'm just working that guide all the way back to the back of his head. So once I start moving towards the side of the head, I'm sticking with that same elevation, 90 degrees. I'm going to go all the way down to the side of his head there. Same thing on the side of the head. I'm directing the hair out 90 degree. I don't usually position my hands like this when I'm cutting, but since the camera is in the way, it was the only thing I could really do. So now we're going to do a hard part. I like to part the hair kind of where it naturally likes to part, and that's where I make my line. I like to start out with the trimmer. I don't really try and make it too clean with the trimmer because I'm going to come back with the razor anyway. So I'm using a Tomb 45 razor. These things are awesome for hard parts. They have multiple blade exposure cartridges. I use the mid exposure probably the most, if that's probably the only one I actually use. And it's awesome for like hard parts and lineups and stuff like that. So now I'm just drying his hair. I don't like to connect wet hair with dry hair, so before I start connecting everything, I like to make sure the hair is nice and dry. So I'm going to do clipper over comb to kind of blend all this in. Just making sure I keep kind of a square profile. I scoop in and I pull the tines, I guess you could say, or the teeth of the comb towards me, exposing the hair that I want to cut. I normally use the hair towards the spine of the comb as my guide. As you can see, I scoop in, scoop out, using the hair closer to the spine as my guide and just connecting everything together. So he's still got a little bit of a weight line. There's a little bit that I need to blend in still, so I use my thinning shears and a tapered comb. That taper on that comb, I can get real tight against the head with it. And it kind of just, I get in there and kind of blend things in without actually having to pull out the clippers and guess which guard I need. And there I'm just blending out that weight line. Now we're just going to edge them all up. He doesn't do any kind of lineup or anything like that. I like to edge them up with my outliner, and then I always finish off with a razor, no matter what the haircut. A little bit of sea breeze to get the soap residue off the neck. And like I said, you know, my man, he's no frills. He works 2 jobs, full-time dad. He wakes up, combs his hair, and he goes. So I'm just using a little bit of hair gel, just kind of throwing some in there, and I'm gonna comb it out for him. That's all there is. Mid-low fade with the hard part. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe.